Okay, so I'm just going to go over the steps again, but so you've got a recording showing you how to get your drawings from Revit into AutoCAD. So? Oh, that's right, I showed you. I just want to make sure that you've got a recording. That's it. Yeah, exporting DWG. So you can, if you've got a floor plan open, export straight from that view. The other option is to have a sheet, like you can see here. So that's good. We've got a sheet set up in this file, and that could be used as well to export a DWG file. But if it's, I'll just give you a tip there, if it's only a single floor plan that you want, often it's easier just to export from the view rather than to export from a sheet. So I'm going to do it from there. The time you need to maybe think about that though is if you ever want to export a 3D view. If you export from a view like this, what do you think you'll get back in AutoCAD? Is it going to be a drawing that is similar to what I'd get with a floor plan like this? Or something different? Something different, yeah, that's right. So the difference is, if you export from a 3D view like this, or a perspective view, like one of these, it gives you a 3D model back in AutoCAD. Yeah. So AutoCAD is actually a really powerful 3D modelling program. Yeah, it does, yeah. So, and that can be useful if you're going into other programs where you just want the 3D. You do? No. Yeah, that's right. So here, I think you can do all the 3D you need to with Revit, but it's more if you need to go from Revit into another program that won't import Revit files, then it can make sense to export DWG from a 3D view. Right? It does, yeah. That's right. Even if it's a perspective view like this where you can only see part of it, it'll give you the whole thing in AutoCAD. And in 3ds Max as well. You can actually use that DWG format to bring it into 3ds Max. So that's only if you need the 3D model. But if you don't, then there's a trick. You export the 3D view from a sheet, and it gives you a flattened version of that 3D model, which can be useful as well. But if it's a floor plan, you don't have to think so much about it. Again, generally you can just export from the view itself, but make sure you've got the view set up reasonably well. So you can crop the view, so if you don't want the whole level, you can crop it here. But in this case, I'm just going to go straight to the File, Menu, choose Export, CAD Formats, DWG, and leave all the settings here. Just click Next, and then make sure you know what the file name is. So I've got it down the bottom there. I'm not going to change it. I know what it is. It says Level 35 at the end, and I'm happy with that. But most important step, turn the tick box off at the bottom that says export views on sheets and links as external references. So external references can be extremely useful in AutoCAD, but here there's no need for them because we just want the floor plan to be one file in AutoCAD. If we leave that ticked, it's going to set up linked files, so we'll get multiple AutoCAD files linked together using these things called external references. And it's overkill. I might show you how it works if you leave it on in a second, but I'll just for now leave it turned off, and then without changing anything, click OK, and then to see how it's all worked, the best way is to open it in AutoCAD. Okay, it's going a bit slowly, but it'll work in the end. And I might just give it a minute, and then I'll switch to AutoCAD. It's going very slow. It shouldn't be this slow normally. Yeah, binding. Yeah, so is this binding XREF or? Oh, no. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because when you've got an XREF, say you forgot to turn that option off and you've done some work in the AutoCAD file, you can bind them afterwards, yeah. So there's a bind option for external references. which we might look at as well. But for now, I'll just go back into AutoCAD. And so in the file that I want to use for everything, I'm going to insert that new AutoCAD file. But before I do, I'm going to open it up just so that you can see how it will come across from Revit. Okay, so it's pretty good. It gives us a flattened version of that floor plan. And just so you know what I mean by flattened, I'm going to orbit the view so that we can get a 3D view of this floor plan in AutoCAD. And you're going to see it's just like rotating a piece of paper with a flat line drawing on it. Yeah, maybe if they were at the same level as your floor, they might not have come through. So you can see it's a bit slow, so it's not orbiting in real time, but I'm just showing you there, if we look at this at an angle, which is all I'm doing, right, so you can see it's a flat, there we are, flat line drawing, 2D in other words. Right, so I might just show you again. So back into Revit, and I'll just go and export CAD formats DWG again, and click next. And this time I'll leave that option down the bottom turned on, and we'll just say stick an A at the end of that file name. So I'll give that a minute, but then while that's happening, I'll just show you here that we've got the original file that was opened with all of the line work part of this file, or being part of this file. But then some of these things are grouped, so you can see there the furniture and these windows are grouped together, so do you remember what to do if you want to work on those things? Exactly, so it's many of the things you can just explode, particularly things that are just one-offs. But be careful with something like this. Right, there's a lot of detail there. And if we explode that, yeah, it would explode, yep. But that's probably too much. And then even things like this, the furniture, you can explode it, but then it's set up as a block. So when you get blocks like this, so these things are all the same block with any luck. So if I just want to change all of them together, I can select it, and instead of exploding, I'm going to right click and go to Edit Block in Place. Click OK. And maybe I'll just clean it up a bit. So I'm going to delete some of these extra lines that look messy. And then this as well, just make it a bit neater. And that's the nice thing about AutoCAD. You can just work on it as though they're all lines. Well, they are all lines. So you can trim and extend and do all those things to make your drawings cleaner. I'll even just join these lines together. And that in itself can be a lot harder in Revit. But because it's just line work in AutoCAD, it's fairly easy to clean those things up. And so now I'm going to, instead of having to do that to each of these instances, I can just click Save Changes and OK. Now this is where it's not perfect. Okay, so it's fixed this one, but notice how the others haven't changed. Yeah, and that's because the way it creates the blocks, if they have slightly different names, and these ones, they're mirrored, so that means that technically they're a different block. So what I have to do instead is copy and rotate to replace, unfortunately, yeah. You can switch the blocks over in another way, but that's probably even harder, so this is probably the easiest way. So yeah, it's pretty good. Most of the time it will manage the blocks for you when they come from Revit, but not always. So yeah, and it's because they're mirrored. So I'd have to manually then fix that myself, but it's still easier than doing it all again. Okay, so there we are. So now I can delete the new one. Okay, but apart from that, it's going to be pretty much as though you've drawn it yourself in AutoCAD when you get it from Revit. And so then, it's a good chance maybe to look at different ways of linking these files together. So I said that you should try to link, or at least have all of the drawings in the one file. Oh, that's right, that can all be taken off. So that's all on its own layer. So here we can just find the furniture layer and close it. But before I do that, I'm going to undo that because I still want to have it there, and I want to put this all into my other file. Now, maybe we'll go through XREFs in a bit more detail next week. I don't really want to spend too long on XREFs today, but for now, I just want to get it across. So, a couple of ways of doing that. Firstly, I'm going to save this file with a new name. So I'll just put a T at the end so I know that it's a new one. So then I can go into the file that I want to bring it into. Go to Insert, More Options, or on the Home tab, same thing, click Insert, More Options, Browse. This is one of the best things about AutoCAD. It doesn't have a format for blocks. So you can insert any file into any other file because they're all just the same drawing format. There's no special format for library parts. So I can just find that file that I've just saved. Right, there it is with the one with the T at the end. And that's all fine. Yep, so this is finished. And it might take it a minute. Oh, it's just thinking? Yep, but there we are. So, right, so you can see there it's big, but we know it should be. Compared to these details, those details are really small. So I'll just move that away to give myself a bit of room. And okay, so then I could even start setting up a page. By copying one of my others. There you go. Okay, and so there, my viewport's locked, so I'm just going to unlock that so I can change the scale to 1 to 100. Do you remember what to do to add scales that aren't there in your list?
Yeah,
yep, that's it, exactly. Custom and add. So if you're remembering that, that's good. So add, and then the name wants 200, and then we just change that drawing units to 200. Move it up one. Okay, so now I can choose it from my list. And there we are, yep. So then to work on it though in this file, remember I inserted it as a block, so I just need to explode that. And that's okay. Later you'll see you may want to have those things split across different files, and that's when you can look at XREFs, but maybe we'll go further into that next week. It's not required for your first assignment, but it's something you've got to know about. So that should do it. So, yeah, I'll finish there.